What's up, you guys? It's Big Joey, and welcome to Loadouts 2023. Now, as you guys know, if you've been following this channel for a while, I do one of these videos about each and every year, and it's just me covering my class loadouts for every single class, just to give you guys some ideas of maybe some loadouts you can put together to intimidate, or just to show that you've got some veteran status onto the field. You know, you're not just some free to play. You've got some time, clearly by just what you're wearing. Even if it's not true, it's gonna give the impression that you've been around the block. And today I will show you guys the loadouts I've been using and I've put together for 2023. And so we'll start with the Scout. So this is admittedly one of my least played classes, the Scout. And with a lot of my loadouts, I honestly just like to put together something that you don't normally see out on the field. And so for me, this kind of looks like some Beauty and the Beast type loadout for Scout. I don't know. This just reminds me of when the Beast transformed back into a human. It's just what it looks like. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. I just thought it looked kind of cool, and you can make it with the pirate Scout helmet loadout, so why not? But next, this one I was actually pretty proud of. So I saw somebody wearing this combo, the Hero's Tail and the Courtly Cuirass, I don't know how to say that, out on the field one day, and I was like, that is sick. So I put together just those two, and then when I was trying to figure out the last thing to put with it, I remembered that I'd used the fuel injector before, and I used to really like that cosmetic. So when I put it all together, it just made this, which looks like some kind of, I don't know, futuristic assassin scout type look, almost like cyberpunk, I don't know, and I just really liked it. So I imagine if I actually was decent at scout, if I was actually a threat, I would wear this all the time, and this would be my main loadout for scout. On to C. This is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know. This just looks like the edgy Halloween, teenage, I don't know, don't show up to biochem tomorrow loadout. That's basically all this is. I don't really know what else to call that. This is just edgy with no rhyme or reason. And lastly, I had something like this, I want to say last year, but this year we had the Motley sleeves come out. And so basically I've just made this kind of I don't know, be a biker type loadout for the Scout. If you look at the tattoos, they're actually pretty, not badass, but they're funny, and it looks cool together all combined. So yeah, that's my last Scout loadout. Moving on to the Soldier. The Soldier actually got some pretty good stuff over last year. So this one, kind of an old cosmetic with the dancing doe, but I threw it together with the Mistaken Movember and just kind of made it look like this kind of just, I don't know, badass American lifter type loadout. It could be biker as well, just whatever for the Soldier. For B, we got this really sick cosmetic called the Cranial Cowl. I think everybody, when it was either the summer or the Halloween update, whenever this came out, everybody wanted this for the Soldier. So I immediately had to grab it, and I couldn't really figure out what really works with it. So, I mean, I guess the Veterans Attire and the Curb Stompers, and that's what I put together. But overall, I really like this, the way it turned out, and you can even change this to be boneless, just like that, kind of like a robber or a snow winter type look for Soldier. So, yeah, it's pretty sick. This one just kind of reminds me of one of those old colonels, one of those old captains that you might see in Pirates of the Caribbean, just that old pioneer ship type captain look. And for me, I really like this type of look for Soldier because you don't see a lot of soldiers where you can see their eyes at the same time. Soldier has these really piercing, crazy eyes that fit his character very well. So anytime that somebody gets to look in their kill cam and see that looking back at them, it's pretty great to me. And then lastly, I've got this, which this is more of so it reminds me of kind of like a sea captain, but maybe more of a modern, maybe a Navy type sea captain feel. And I just feel like this is another type of look you don't see very often for the Soldier. I put it together with the Chaser, which we also got last year. The Chaser just being another very impressive, very awesome cosmetic we got for Soldier last year. So I definitely wanted to use that as well. Just not with the other cosmetic we had already gotten, being the Cranial Cowl. Didn't quite look great with that, in my opinion. So, yeah. Moving on to the Pyro. I'm a bit ashamed, honestly, this year of my Pyro loadouts. I haven't really changed anything. I don't use Pyro very much, to be honest. The only time I really ever use Pyro is when I just want to, spam an area, or if I'm getting back at maybe a Vaccinator medic, because then I can use the Power Jack, basically chase them down, separate them from their heal target, and just abuse them. So I don't really have, great new loadouts for the Pyro this year. I've got, the Winter Pyro. I've thrown together, you gotta have the space Pyro just because he looks so freaking cool with the napalmer and the thermal thruster. Looks like an alien. Then I've got, of course, the clown. I use the clown like every year now just because he's terrifying looking and he strikes fear in the hearts of others, especially if you give him, you know, the machete. And lastly, I've got the Grim Reaper for no reason. I mean, I've had different variations of something like this, but yeah, just the year I just chose the Grim Reaper loadout for Pyro. Okay, moving on to a bit more interesting. Demo got the hookup this year. First off, introducing the Pimp Demo. Pimp Demo is honestly one of my favorite new looks for the demo. I love that they gave him the bankroll suit. I mean, honestly, I would have preferred that they gave the suit to Heavy for my Beetlejuice type look, but I mean, this was an obvious great choice. And you can switch it up between plaid, plain, but for me personally, I like the pinstripes. It's pretty sick. And then I just threw it together with the Hustler's Hallmark, and you know, you gotta give him like a little, gotta give him a little smoker bib. And then moving on to B. I saw this just in a game one day. I saw somebody with this loadout, and honestly, there are times where I just see a loadout and I'm like, that's mine. That is now mine. It's in my head. I can afford it. It's mine. And that was just one of these. And I love this for like trolling, bombing, teleporter areas. I'll typically use the sticky jumper, and at the start of like a payload map or something, I'll jump over the entire team, and then they'll see this at their spawn as I'm bombing out their teleporter and probably doing something that leads to my immediate suicide death combo. Onto loadout C. This is just kind of like an old school king, you know, look. I put this guy with the sword, and this is really the only time you'll see me demo knighting is probably with this loadout. But I do love it. It's a cool, different type of look for the demo. And lastly, to D, I had to switch it up this year. I had to, because I had been doing the samurai like every single year. But this year, I finally put together like the Sea Captain look for Demo 2, which is really cool and honestly really fitting, especially since he got some of these new loadouts like this one this year. So, you know, he's the captain. Alright, moving on to, of course, what some of you guys are going to be looking forward to, the Heavy. Now, this is hands down one of my favorite new loadouts that they've made for Heavy. Last year, just when we got the Mishra's Maw, it really just gave you the ability to put it all together, and instead of just making a Yeti, to make the Polar Bear, which is what I would have always wanted for Heavy at some point. I mean, honestly, I always thought it made more sense for Heavy to be a bear rather than a Yeti, for him to have that type of loadout. I mean, there's even like a bear taunt made for the Heavy at one point, but they just never used it. And it also would have made sense with the Warrior's Spirit. Now, speaking of the Warrior's Spirit, and speaking of Bear Heavy, if there are any two changes that are going to come for Heavy ever in the future, maybe in the summer update that they're talking about or anything like that, like one of the only two things that I would love for them to do to Heavy, if they could only do two things left for Heavy ever, is make this a healable item instead of it just giving him, you know, the 10 seconds of mini crit or whatever, and then make this color changeable. Make this where it can be the same color as the Yeti. Because that would make sense. You could chase people as a full Yeti. Like, just full, official, covered from head to toe Yeti. And, I mean, those would be my two wishes. I want there to be basically a Chaser Heavy available in the game. I want to be able to switch it up, and just like how Demo Knight exists in the demo realm, for Heavy, you could have the Heavy Chaser, where he just chases you. That's it. That's it. No gun, no shotgun needed, no hoovy, no anything. Just Heavy's chasing you all around the battlefield. I think it would be hilarious and a different style gameplay for people that are bored of just, you know, the meta Heavy. But moving on to B, this is just another cool look that I threw together for Heavy. I really appreciated the roadblock this year, or last year, I should say, and I forget, maybe the Mohorn was the year before that. But this look kind of like gave this kind of like almost cyberpunk feel when I threw it together. And I think personally, you know, had I not already put together Big Joey and that whole loadout, this would probably be the look I would have gone for. I mean, this is kind of cool. Granted, I wish I could put like one more thing maybe on the beard and the face, but you know, this is still a very distinguishable, neat look in TF2. So lately I've been running this just in casual games. But now, of course, on to the OG looks. So I've still got, of course, the Zeus loadout. With the unusual White Russian, which I think this is still like one of 4 in existence with the sunbeams on it. Zeus's Acrimony, which now has about 120,000 kills on it. And then, of course, good old-fashioned, you know, the OG, Big Joey. And I've got the 1 of 1 still, Vivid Plasma Strange. What was that called again? God. I've been switching off of it so much. White Russian with the gray bands, the combat slacks. And then this loadout pretty much stays the same, although sometimes I will switch this up. for these hands, which is basically just my professional pair of Guru. Moving on to the Engineer. Of course, I've got the Gnome loadout. Now, these loadouts are going to look a lot better if I choose from the melee slot, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick that. But yeah, I've got my Gnome. Of course, I'm basically the king of gnomes in TF2 now. I started the cult, and I still appreciate seeing these out in the battlefield on the rare occasion that you do. For B, again, this is going back to kind of the whole, I wanted to make loadouts that you don't normally see in game, and for me, you're not normally going to see this look of the Engineer, and also you're not ever typically going to see an Engineer rocking the tattoo. Normally Engineers are going to rock, you know, much more mechanical type looks, and this to me just looks cool. Like, if you got killed by this guy, you'd be like, whoa, this Engi's on some, he's on some different shit, I don't know. And then moving on to C, I saw somebody rocking this in game, maybe with like yellow hair or yellow eyes, but with the same exact loadout, and I thought it was really cool. So I was just like, I wants ya, and I'ma haves ya. And so I immediately went and put this loadout together, and kind of a mad scientist look. And lastly, man, the Dust Bowl Devil we got last year was sick. You put together the Bruiser's Bandana, the Dead of Night, you have a, you know, serious bandit style look for the Engineer. And I think I actually saw this in another TFTuber's video, and I just immediately stole it. But I mean, it's just an insane looking loadout. It's intimidating, it's fun looking, and you know, if you're racking any amount of decent kill streaks in the game, this is gonna look intimidating to a newer player. Moving on to the Medic. So I'll go ahead and also change this to the melee slot. So this is kind of like just this butcher look I put together. This just looks psychotic. This looks like the Medic is not here for a good time. He's not looking to heal you. He's looking to basically you know, disembody you and put you together and make a different human hybrid of you. It's creepy looking, and that's what I enjoy. But luckily for my team, if they see me behind them, I'm just helping them out. I'm just their pal. But if you see me on the other side, you know, so help you, Gaben. Then going into loadout B, I got the Chef. You know, you can find out what he's cooking pretty quickly. Moving on to C, I've got this Vampire Hunter look, which I've kept pretty much every year. I mean, this just... How do you beat this? Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever get rid of this loadout. It's one of my favorites. It just looks sick. He just looks like he's going to hunt vampires. And then D, which, I don't know, we got this new one this year, the Victorian Villainy, and I thought it looked really cool. Anyways, I just thought it looked really cool. So I kept this together. I don't know why it's set to the Amputator. I'm just gonna, yeah. Anyways, and onto the Sniper. Sniper I also didn't change too much, but I love, when it's Sniper, I love going to like kind of this like assassin from afar type look. So I've had this one before, the Dread Hiding Hood with the Hypno Eyes, and this kind of reminds me of like a loadout from, it reminds me of a look from this game I played way back. I can't remember the name right now, but there was like a guy that was dressed up like this in part of the game, and he just like had to shoot like either at himself from the past or at a villain from the past, and you don't get to see him because he's dressed like this at first. But then anyways, moving on to loadout B, this is kind of just my distinguished hunter loadout for the Sniper. This looks like a guy that would have like a collection of deers and bears like on his wall over his library or something. Just very pompous, very distinguished type Sniper loadout. On to C, this is like the Western cowboy type look. It'd be kind of cool if I had like one more different type of gun for that. Maybe, honestly, that would fit the look way better if I just didn't suck with the bargain, the bizarre bargain in general, or Sniper really. I'm getting a little bit better as Sniper, so I'm justifying getting myself some cooler looks. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still just not great with Sniper in general. And then moving on to the last one. Got another just kind of assassin from afar type look. I really love the Down Under Duster. I think that's sick. I've loved the Lech's LED forever. I don't like that you can't put like a hood over that. Like you can't really put the Dread hood over it. You can't put the bandana over it. I don't know how you say that. Benduan, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I wish you could, because that would be the sickest look for Sniper. But this will do for now. And finally, on to my last set of loadouts for the Spy. So I put together this one this year with the secondhand tactical turtleneck that I want to say got last year. This is just kind of more of a like Metal Gear, you know, Solid Snake type look, which I mean still is fitting for the Spy, still is pretty cool, and I just thought was pretty different, so got that one together. For B, I've had this for about a year or two, but I maybe switched up the body cosmetic with the Frenchman's Formula. I just think this looks really creepy. This looks like some, you know, Muerto style, I don't know, like magician or something, slash assassin, slash, I don't know. It's just creepy looking and I love it. This is another just really creepy one. I feel like if you got killed in the game, backstabbed just suddenly, and you're already in that state of shock, and then you saw either this or this looking back at you, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? You know? So I just really appreciate that that feeling of fear that I can strike in someone's heart for just a split second in game. And then lastly, I've got this spy loadout, which is just very generic to me. You know, you would see back in the day a bunch of people rocking the Bloodhound and the Dapper disguise together. It's a very good look for the spy. But then, you know, we just keep getting these baller, nice-ass suits for the spy. And so this year, or last year I should say rather, we got the Turncoat. And the Turncoat is just already goated for spy. It looks so good and fits the aesthetic and the style of spy so well. So I put that together. And, you know, I run the Cloak and Dagger, the Kunai, and the Enforcer for most of my classes, and it's also very fitting for the look. But that about wraps it up for this year. And so I hope you guys got some ideas off this. I hope you guys, you know, can put together your own creative stuff that surprises people in the game or makes people go like, wow, that guy must be really epic. That's really cool. And, yeah, I hope that inspired some of you guys. And other than that, that about wraps this one up. And so until next time, this was Big Joey! Oh! Later.